Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Carpool Conversations, award-winning Carpool Conversation that is. Thank you Video Toolkit for voting that it was a really good video. Thank you. So I'm Matt Ruddle from InTouch. Today I have with me...
I'm Matthew Broadbent from QR3.
Excellent. So Matt's been with us all day so far on the actual Growth Academy. So first of all, Matt, tell everybody what you do.
What QR3 does, we've got a pool of around about 120 odd finance directors who can go into small businesses on a part-time basis.
Okay, so tell me something, Matt, or Matthew rather. What is it that finance directors actually do? Surely just accountants. This is where you're probably going to slap me on the wrist and say no.
Couldn't do that whilst you're driving. So
I'm safe.
That's the starting point, I'd say. They are accountants. They're all qualified accountants, but they've all been finance directors on a board of reasonable sized businesses for over 10 years, each and every one of them. That's part of the qualification process. They don't really do the accounts, but what they do, they take those accounts and they transform them into numbers and words that business owners and other key people in the business actually understand, so they can use that information to take the business forward and help it grow. Okay,
so what are the most common questions that you got to ask then about how you can help a business and you know, what is it that businesses actually do when they come to you?
I guess we'll start with the basics, and the basics are how do you prepare accounts on a regular basis? If so, how often? And what do you do with the accounts? Do you put them in a bottom drawer and think it's positive, I'm making a profit,
for another day,
so I'm okay? Or do you do something with it to identify, for example, which elements of your sales are the most profitable, and can we actually sell more of that particular element as opposed to this one that's not earning quite so much?
Okay, so you can, I mean, we've spoken a lot today about what it is that you can actually do for businesses.
Yeah.
So one of the things we've talked about is this turnaround aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So talk me through it. What first of all, what is turnaround for people that don't understand it, and actually, how would somebody go about getting out of it?
I think when people think about turnaround, they think about a business that needs surgery and needs massive help, but it's not always the case. Sometimes you can turn around a business within the space of a couple of months. I came across a business through a colleague of mine who's a turnaround manager, and he was able to turn around an environmental business within the space of a couple of months, simply by reducing the size of the fleet of lorries that they were operating. Because what he had something like 100 lorries operating, collecting waste from around I think it was the Birmingham area. Half of those lorries weren't operational 100% of the time, and actually half of those lorries were on hire. So he was very quickly able to identify which ones were on hire, cancel the hire contracts, and all of a sudden, although the turnover of the business went down to a certain extent, the whole business as a whole became profitable.
But he was able to actually survive and
absolutely
and source out the issues.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's quite interesting, and obviously one of the things that you've got to release shortly is an actual video series on turnaround, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. What that does, that takes you through the typical stages that a turnaround manager would go through in order to execute a turnaround plan, and it starts with understanding where the business wanted to be on its original business plan, understanding where it is now and where it's not going quite so well as it should be, then focusing on the areas or the causes for why it's not doing so well, and putting together a turnaround plan to ensure the business continues to be financed whilst the turnaround plan is executed and the cures are put in place.
Okay, excellent. What we'll do is hopefully it'll be ready in time for the release of this video. So we'll put a little link to it as well, so people can actually start to jump on that and get that extra information.
Sure.
Because you're going to be releasing a lot of great stuff over the next few weeks and months as well. So I know you've got a new website going live. You've also got some ebooks as well, because one of the ones that both of the ebooks are quite interested in terms of merging with other businesses and actually taking over other businesses as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be a minefield. At the end of the day, I know of a couple of businesses or a couple of things going on locally where two entities are merging together.
Yeah.
And I know of some of the pitfalls that they've had to suffer. So, I mean, where do you come in on that? What expertise do you bring to that?
On a merger or an acquisition, it's really important from the outset to surround yourself with people who have been through the process before, know what questions to ask, and in particular at the negotiation stage, know how to keep the professional fees under control and keep everybody focused on the end result, which is a successful transaction, both during the transaction and, more importantly, post-transaction.
So, I mean, you said about fees there and things like that. Is it quite easy to let those things go, run away when you're looking at mergers? And again, you said about keeping everybody on point with it.
Yeah.
So, is it quite easy when going to merge two businesses together that you could get hung up on a small point that's actually quite an expensive point as well?
Yeah, people often talk about lawyers' fees during a merger or an acquisition and how expensive they are. And I guess as a business owner, you've got to understand that the lawyers are there protecting your interests, and they'll go 120%.
Yeah.
Actually, what you want them to do is go 100%, because that final 20% could end up costing you more in legal fees than the benefit that you get from going through those particular hoops.
Right, okay. Yeah, it's all really complicated stuff, and what would be your advice if somebody's going through some of these things? So somebody's going through selling their business or looking to merge with someone else. What would be your key bits of advice then for them?
I think key bits of advice is to surround yourself with the right people. If you've not been through a transaction before, whether it's a business sale or whether it's an acquisition or a merger, you need to have somebody on board who's got the experience. Because at the end of the day, there's a process to go through in any transaction.
Yeah.
And if you've done it before, you can go through the process, you'll know what the pitfalls are, and you'll know how to extract more value from the transaction. If you've never been through it before, you don't know what the questions are to ask in the first place.
Exactly.
That's the value of the service in that particular sector of our business.
Totally. And it's also not just you in the business either. You've got, how many FDs?
The last count was 129, so we operate across the UK.
So 129 FDs that you can call on, that you can actually help put into other businesses to actually help them grow.
That's correct.
Or survive, actually, not just grow, but survive.
Yeah, and as I said at the beginning, don't get hung up on the word turnaround, because actually it could be just a turnaround of a small part of the business. It could be just oiling the wheels to make sure they go around without creaking.
Yeah, very, very, very true. I mean, one of the things you said to me earlier, we were just kind of talking in the office, you said about, as part of turnaround, potentially looking at new markets that people could go into that they hadn't thought about before. I think you said about introducing people into China and actually opening up your customer base to a billion extra people. So it's that out of the box thinking and experience that actually put in an FD, so a finance director, into a company could actually be, would you say a good financial director would actually end up paying for themselves?
Yes. If they don't, then they're not actually delivering the value that QR3 says that our finance directors deliver. I think the important thing is that our clients, they need to be going through some sort of event or change, if you like, be it a startup, a growth proposition, a turnaround, or a business sale, in order to be able to extract the maximum value. But what we'll do, we'll just ensure that we provide the service as and when it's needed. That's the advantage of QR3. You can turn the resource on and off like a tap.
Okay, that's a very good way of looking at it. Because on average, how much would a full-time financial director cost the business?
2015 Institute of Chartered Accountants salary survey showed that the average finance person in the UK costs, with NIC and bonuses, etc., 134,000 a year.
134,000. So, you know, you're not going to charge me 134,000 to put a finance director in place part-time, are you?
No, absolutely. It'd be a fraction of that.
Fantastic. And that doesn't mean, because sometimes when people say a fraction of things, they sometimes think, okay, well, I'm going to be lacking the quality and things like that. That's definitely not it, is it?
I do plenty of quality checks on my finance directors to ensure that they've got the skills that they say they've got.
Yeah.
And that's through a process of looking at their profile, talking to people that they've worked with before, but also talking to them on a one-to-one basis to ensure they know what they're talking about. Because I've invested in businesses, I've sold businesses, turned businesses around, I've started them up. QR3's a startup 2 years ago, and it's essentially, I know what a good finance director looks like, and what a poor one looks like.
Yeah, well, as you said, you've been there, you've done it, you've got the t-shirts, and actually, you know, you're there to help businesses as well. So we're almost back. So what, on the spot, what are your 3 general business tips for any business out there? What should they be doing? What should they be looking for? What are your tips? If somebody was starting a business right now, what would you tell them? The 3 things.
I'd say know where you're going and why you're going there. I'd say make sure that you've got the right resources to get there, and that's not just resources in terms of people, but it's also in terms of cash. And finally, what would I say? Just do it. Just do it. JDI.
Is it JDI? Just do it. Yeah, why not? Why not? I think sometimes people are held back because they think, well, there's all these pitfalls, there's all these nasty stories you hear, but you don't know if you don't try. You don't know if you don't try, and you don't actually know whether you're going to enjoy it. So just do it, see if you enjoy it. If you enjoy it, and just go for it. Yeah, it's great fun. Sounds good. Well, thanks for joining me today, Matt. So, who are you again? Matthew Broadbent from QR3. What's the web address? QR3.uk. And are you on Twitter? I am on Twitter. It's at FD Recruiter. There we go. We'll put the links up on the screen. I'm Matt Ruddle on Twitter. Thanks for watching, and join us again for another Carpool conversation. Thanks, guys. Bye.